This episode of the Downtown Rams podcast is brought to you by our proud sponsors, Thrive Fantasy, Built Bar, and ExpressVPN. Now, using promo code DTSN, our listeners can get $20 bonus cash on a deposit of at least $20 on Thrive Fantasy, 10% off their Built Bar protein bar order, and 35% off their ExpressVPN annual subscription. Once again, all you have to do is use the promo code DTSN and tell them the Downtown Rams podcast sent you. Now enjoy the show.
Aaron Donald creates the fumble. Goff goes crashing into the end zone.
It is intercepted by Jalen Ramsey.
Robert Wood, touchdown. Picked off by John Johnson. Touchdown, Tyler Higbee. Cooper Kupp plucks it out of the air.
Henderson with a good run and a first down. Still on his feet. Touchdown, Van Jefferson.
Everett in stride. Wow. Play for the Lombardi.
Hi guys, welcome back to Downtown Rams. As always, I am Alexis Kraft, joined here with my co-host Jake Ellenbogen, and we are here today to preview the Los Angeles Rams matchup against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers on Monday Night Football. Jake, this is going to be a big game. We are going up against a good team in Tampa Bay, but more importantly, we're going up against arguably, I want to emphasize arguably, one of the best quarterbacks of all time, Tom Brady. It's prime time. It's Monday night. It's going to be fun. I think it's going to be a close game. And just to start this off, what are your thoughts going into this game?
Yeah, so Alexis, my thoughts going into this game, these two teams are playing for, in my opinion, the title of best team in the NFC. I really think, all chips are on the table. I think these two, and I'd probably say the Saints, after watching football all day today, I'd say those three teams, the Rams, the Buccaneers, and the Saints, are the top dogs in the NFC. And I think, this is a tremendous test for the Los Angeles Rams, who have a great running game. Make no mistake about it. But they're going up against the first ranked defense against the run in Tampa Bay. They've allowed under 75 yards a game, which is just insane. And to boot, their passing defense, I believe, is second in the league. So, the Rams are one of the best defenses. Tampa Bay is one of the best defenses. Here's the difference, though. Tampa Bay has had a much more potent offense this year. But coming into this game, I do want to say one thing. The Rams are on the upswing. I know there's a lot of people that are on Sean McVay's back, and rightfully so. But hear me out when I say the Rams, when I was going through all the metrics, all of the standings, all of the different team stats, I'll tell you this right now. The Bears game, before the Bears game, the Rams were, I believe, around 16th in the league in total offense. They're now 7th. So they're moving the football. They're putting up yards, but they need to put up more points. I think when you look at points per game, one thing that stands out to me and why their points per game average is a lot lower than every other team is because they haven't had a kicker. And we've talked about that. So I think, this week it could be a little different. They've now added 2 kickers to the active roster that weren't there previously. So we'll see if maybe they find their guy this week. That will obviously add to the points. And just in general, we'll see if they become more of a refined offense. Now, I know that sounds weird with Andrew Whitworth out for the foreseeable future, and why the offense would all of a sudden, be on the upswing. But I went through the film, and I'll be posting a video on my personal channel on YouTube, kind of just showing you every single rep that Joseph Noteboom took at left tackle. But I was not disappointed in Noteboom at all. So I think he can maintain at least a good enough game for Jared Goff to have enough time and throw the football. And I've been really impressed watching the film with Josh Reynolds. I think he is the X factor in this game, and I think he's somebody coming in this game, Mr. Reliable over the middle. They're going to need him big time. But yeah, I think the offense is in the upswing. I think this defense is great. I think the running game is going to have their first true test of the year. It's going to be an exciting game, and all the chips are on the table, like I said.
Yeah, and I want to start off by talking about the defense because I do think that this game is going to be a battle of the defenses. And starting with Tampa Bay, I mean, Tampa Bay has a familiar name in Ndamukong Suh, however you pronounce that. Then we've got Jason Pierre-Paul, Shaquille Barrett, Devin White, Antoine Winfield Jr., the rookie, Carlton Davis. I mean, there's some guys on this Buccaneers defense, and I think that, like you mentioned, that statistically, they do very well stopping the run. I think that that's going to be a problem for the Rams. I think we've really relied on our run this year. So I would say, like I said, I think it's going to be a battle of defenses, and I'll let you add your thoughts on that. But let me phrase this better. What do you think the Rams need to do in order to outsmart this Buccaneers defense?
Well, I think first and foremost, they have to continue pounding the rock. I know this. I just said, this defense is only giving up, just under 75 yards a game on the ground. But the Rams are also, up in the 130 category per game rushing the football, and you could make the argument they don't run the ball enough. They have a three-headed backfield that our podcast has kind of dubbed as Cerberus, and many of you have dubbed them as Run DMC. Either way, it doesn't change the fact there's a three-headed monster in that backfield in Malcolm Brown, Cam Akers, and Darrell Henderson. I think all three of them are going to be very interesting and very important in this game because Tampa Bay can kind of match what they have with Ronald Jones, Leonard Fournette, LaShawn McCoy, and Keyshawn Vaughn, who is the rookie third-round pick. They can match that. So, I think what they're going to have to do is establish the run. Alexis, I think you've shared this repeatedly on Twitter. Jared Goff is a much better passer when he is throwing from play action. I mean, we all know that. He is a great play action quarterback, but you can't run play action if you haven't established the run, because the point of play action, to keep it very simple for people that don't know that, the point of play action is once you establish the run, you're fooling the defense, and they have to buy into the fact that they believe you're running the football. So they crash to stop the run in the trenches. And just that little hesitation when you're dealing with world-class athletes, that little hesitation going in the wrong direction is going to open up plays over the top. And that is the thing. Jared Goff has really leaned on that throughout the course of his career. They've gone away from that a little bit, and I feel like they're definitely going to be using it. They're going to have to use it a lot against Tampa Bay. And look, a lot of teams know what they do, right? When you run play action as much as the Rams have over the last 2-3 years, I mean, yes, teams are going to be ready for that. But here's the thing. You're not going to, not sell out for the run if the Rams are running the ball at will on you, because you have to at least imagine that, yes, it's possible they're going to run the ball here. If they're not running the ball and Jared Goff is going to run play action all game, it won't work because they're not going to be fooled. And all it does is hesitate. And it gives less time for Jared Goff to get the ball out. So, I mean, you mentioned the defense, and this defense has Jason Pierre-Paul. They have William Golston, somebody, I don't know if you mentioned him. He's having a pretty underrated season. And then you have Devin White, who you mentioned. Levante David's having a fantastic year. Shaquille Barrett and Ndamukong Suh gave them fits last season. So, when you look at Carlton Davis and Sean Murphy Bunting and Jordan Whitehead and Antoine Winfield Jr., and here's the thing, Jamel Dean as well. This secondary is very, very good. So Jared Goff is going to have to play maybe not his best game, but he's going to have to play very efficient. And I think the most important thing is, as long as he takes care of the ball, this defense should be able to stop Tom Brady and hold this offense in check enough to, really make this game come down to the wire, which is all you can really ask for when you go across the country for the sixth time this season and you play on Monday Night Football. So again, I'm feeling good about this game. But I think that is the key, is they have to establish the run early on, set up play action, and let Goff, work through play action and let him work in areas where he's comfortable. Because if he's uncomfortable, we've seen him, no matter what the Goff apologists say, this guy gets rattled. And when he gets rattled, it's not a pretty sight. You saw Miami. That's a game the Rams dominated from the defensive perspective. But they gave up 2 touchdowns on the offensive side. So, you can't have that. And, that's pretty much all I have to say as far as what the Rams have to do against Tampa's defense.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think, listen, at the end of the day, especially against this team, the run game is only going to do so much. And going up against Tampa Bay, I don't think the run game is going to do much. So I do think the pressure falls on Jared Goff. I think that it's going to be a daunting task for him, quite frankly, because we talk about this Buccaneers defense, and they have the potential to rattle him. I mean, there is that potential that we could see a repeat of what happened in Miami. And so the pressure is on Jared Goff, but it's also on our offensive line. And, kind of like we'll get into a little bit later, but, Whitworth is gone for the foreseeable future. So I think it is going to be a tough test, because I do think that even though Tom Brady is on Tampa Bay, I do think that the star of Tampa Bay is their defense. I think it's more of a defensive team than it is an offensive team. But going into the offense, looking at both of these offenses, we'll start with Tampa Bay's offense because I mentioned Tom Brady. You obviously have Tom Brady, who we all know what he can do. Everyone knows who he is. Everyone knows who Rob Gronkowski is. And then also at that tight end position, you got Cameron Brate. And then you have that wide receiver trio in Tampa Bay that's kind of interesting, because you've got Chris Godwin, Mike Evans, and now Antonio Brown, which he didn't really do much in his first game back, I should say, but you still can't count out Antonio Brown. So you've got that kind of trio of wide receivers, and then at running back, you have Ronald Jones and Leonard Fournette, and LaShawn McCoy. And then, like you mentioned earlier, Keyshawn Vaughn. So they've definitely got talent on this offense. I am confident in our defense. Just based on the way our defense has been playing, I think that we are going to do a good job of shutting Tom Brady down, as weird as some people might think that is to say. I'm more worried about Tampa Bay's run game, mostly because I'm worried about our run defense. And everyone knows how I feel about our run defense. But I do think that our secondary is going to do a good job of shutting down Tom Brady if they do the things they've been doing and continue to play that way. So, Jake, what are your thoughts on Tampa Bay's offense going up against the Rams defense? And then we can get into what our offense, we kind of already talked about what our offense needs to do, but any last thoughts on that?
Yeah, so, looking at Pro Football Focus, they have the Buccaneers rated as the 20th pass blocking efficiency, 20th in pass blocking efficiency, and the Rams are the 6th most efficient pass rush. So I think that bodes well for the Rams in this game. The Rams are actually the 2nd in pass blocking efficiency. That was before Andrew Whitworth down. So you can imagine they'll take a hit there. And of course, the Buccaneers have a very potent pass rush. So, I mean, I look at this as the Buccaneers offense is not going to be able to protect Tom Brady the way the media has been saying Tom Brady. I think it was Steve Mariucci on NFL Network. I could be wrong. But I saw something along the lines is Tom Brady's going to set the passer rating or quarterback rating record against the Rams this week. I mean, I don't know how you even say something like that. I mean, that's just ridiculous. Tom Brady this year, I have the stats right in front of me. Without pressure, Tom Brady has 298 dropbacks, 20 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, 2,349 yards, 71.7 completion percentage, and 110.2 passer rating. That is a pretty good look, right? That's a good season. But under pressure, it gets a little more interesting. 105 dropbacks, 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, 390 yards. All right, so it's not the best, but then when you get in the completion percentage and the passer rating, 46.6 completion percentage, 61.3 passer rating. So Tom Brady, that is the key to the game. You have to pressure Tom Brady. But what's the issue here, right? When you look at not blitzed, Tom Brady, 311 dropbacks, 17 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, 2,193 yards, 67.8 completion percentage, and 102.7 passer rating. So again, he's still, if he's not blitzed, he can still win. Here's the interesting one, Alexis. Well, if he's not blitzed, then, obviously the stats must be in his favor or in, the opponent's favor when he's blitzed, right? You would think. However, 92 dropbacks, 6 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, 546 yards, 59.8 completion percentage, and 86.7 passer rating. So he goes down a little bit, but that's not enough production drop for me to want to continue blitzing him. And I think really the key to this game, when you look at the offense, is you got to play your style of football. And 4-man, 5-man rushes is exactly how the Rams are going to beat the beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I mean, they're going to have to pressure Brady. They're going to have to hit him. Aaron Donald, he's been double team, triple team, quadruple team this season. Regardless of what he is, I think I feel confident enough. Again, 20th in pass blocking efficiency are the Buccaneers offensive line. And here's an interesting one for you. Somebody that I feel very confident in about and his ability in Ali Marpet is actually out with a concussion. He is not going to play. So that's a huge thing. There was a lot of speculation whether he would play or not. He's a big talent. So having him in the trenches with Ryan Jensen would have been something. Jensen's a monster. He is a mauler, and he is somebody that I think could not shut down Aaron Donald, but could give him enough problems. But here's the thing, with Marpet out, it becomes the Ryan Jensen show, and we've seen it. Zach Martin, it doesn't matter who's in front of him, Aaron Donald wins. So this is going to be a huge game, whether Aaron Donald's impacting it by pulling the attention his way and allowing other guys to get one-on-ones, like you saw Leonard Floyd last week with 3 sacks and Terrell Lewis with 2, or Michael Brockers with 1. I think really what it comes down to is Aaron Donald just has to impact the game in that way, or he has to impact it physically and get to Brady himself. I think either way, the Rams can do it. They've been doing it consistently. And so I have no worry that the Rams are going to be able to get to Tom Brady without blitzing, and they'll be able to stop Tom Brady. And, something to throw out is Brandon Staley, the defensive coordinator. He said he's been dreaming of the opportunity to scheme against Tom Brady. So he spent a lot of time clearly on this. He's had it in his mind for a while. He's widely regarded as the GOAT for many people. So you have to imagine that Brandon Staley has something up his sleeve. And hopefully it doesn't involve just blitzing him all game long, because we've already seen that doesn't really work as well as you want it to work.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. And, you bring up Aaron Donald, and I think that's a good segue into our predictions for this game. Because if you're asking me something that I predict, I know all the time, I'm like, I think Aaron Donald's going to get 2 sacks. I have a little bit more of a broad prediction for this game, because I do think that Aaron Donald is going to get double and triple teamed probably the entire time. I think a different player on our defensive line is going to get 2+ sacks this game, because of the same reason that sometimes the way that it works with Aaron Donald on the line is he creates opportunities for other players. So I think that it's going to be a sack heavy game for the Rams. I don't necessarily think it's going to be Aaron this time, just because of if you want to call it the Aaron Donald effect or whatever you want to call it. I do think that our defense is going to have some good opportunities this game. Like I said, it's going to be a battle of the defenses. I'm not going to be shocked if unfortunately Tampa Bay also has their fair share of sacks going up against our offensive line. I mean, we already talked about kind of extensively the talent that is on Tampa Bay's defense. So I think it's going to be a game where the defenses show out. I don't think the Rams or the Buccaneers offense is going to be super flashy or exciting to watch. I think this is going to be a very defensive heavy game. And I think that whoever's defense plays the best, their team is going to win. I mean, that's my prediction. If you want to ask me my score prediction, I do think the Rams are going to win. I would say that I think it's going to be like 21 to 14. That's boring, but 21-14 Rams. So what are your predictions?
It doesn't matter if it's boring. I think anybody will take, as long as it says LAR and a win next to them. Well, Alexis, I think you're on the money there. I do think the Rams are going to win this football game. Here's the thing. This isn't going to be the 55-45 showdown we saw last year, where Jameis Winston and Jared Goff were just throwing touchdown after touchdown. I mean, Jared Goff threw over 500 yards for the first time in his career, and the only time in his career in that game. A very wacky game. I don't think it's going to be that. I think it's going to be quite the opposite of that. I think it's mainly going to be a defensive showdown until the end. You might see, the defense let up a little bit on those, game-winning type drives. Looking at, the defense, though, the Rams, they're giving up 18.7 points per game. The Buccaneers are giving up 22.6. That puts the Rams number 2, only behind the Ravens, and the Buccaneers are 8th. When you look at opponent yards per game, the Rams are number 2 with 296.4. The Buccaneers are 3 with 300.3. So I'd have to imagine kind of around that line. I think both teams are going to be around the 250 to 275 mark in total yards. And with the points, I think, really it's almost kind of showing where, the Buccaneers give up 22.6 and the Rams give up 18.7. I'm going to predict a little bit higher than that. I'm going to go on each of them. I'm going to go the Rams win 24-21. And I'm going to say they win on a game-winning field goal. And I know it sounds crazy because you're like, oh God, do you really want a kicker to decide Yes, I do actually. Because if it's Matt Gay, he was the kicker for the Buccaneers last year. We talked about him on the podcast, and then the Rams went out and took him right off the Colts practice squad. Not that they'll need him because they grabbed Hot Rod, who, if the Rams even got him in the first place, we wouldn't be in this situation. But I digress. Anyway, I just think this is going to be a close game through and through. Kind of the same thing with you. Still kind of boring as well. I mean, 24-21 isn't exactly like, jaw dropping, but do you really want this to be jaw dropping? Because I think in games where Tom Brady is asked to, continue to throw the ball down the field, and that's exactly what Bruce Arians with his risk it, no biscuit mentality wants. Do you really want to go Jared Goff versus Tom Brady head to head? We've already seen how this went down in the Super Bowl, so I don't know if that's where I want to go. And regardless, Tom Brady only really made one throw in that game, and it was the touchdown to Gronkowski, who, of course, they're going up against in this one. I just think, to me, you look at this, and, this is a team that is going to be trying to push the ball down the field. I think they're going to be stubborn. I don't think they run the ball enough. I don't think they balance their attack. Because of that, I feel confident the Rams are going to have a more balanced attack. I think, when you look at the Buccaneers, they're not the most efficient offense. They really rely on the big plays. They rely on the explosive plays, 20 plus yards or more. And the Rams really just like to kind of, nip you down to, the red zone. And then, of course, they've kind of, been a non-factor in the red zone compared to what the Buccaneers have done. So, the Rams just have to continue working on their red zone offense. If they find their way, this game could be a blowout. I'll say that right now. I think this has the potential on both sides to be one of those Ravens-Rams type of games that we saw on Monday Night Football. That was nothing like the Rams and Chiefs game. I think it's going to be close. I think it's going to be 24-21. But it's quite simple, and I'm sure you agree when you really think about it, Alexis. If Jared Goff gets hit a ton, and it's a lot like Miami, I think the Buccaneers have way more firepower than Miami, to the point where they will punish the Rams on the scoreboard. The defense will be on the field the entire game, and they'll be going up against a much better offense. But the same thing, I think, reigns true with the Rams. If they're constantly pressuring Tom Brady and they beat the pulp out of Tom Brady, and that defense has to stay on the field consistently, hate to break it to you, I don't care if you're only giving up, 76.6 rushing yards per game. At the end of the day, the Rams are going to be able to run all over a tired defense and set up, pretty much anything they want to do. And we've seen this Rams team before, they can jump on teams. Sean McVay's done that before. He doesn't do it often, but, sometimes he's able to do it. And I think if they were able to pressure Brady and get some, forced fumbles on him, this game could turn into a blowout, and it could turn out on both sides. I'm sticking with 24-21, but I'm telling you guys, don't necessarily think I'm just saying only the Rams can blow out the Bucs. The Bucs could blow out the Rams too. It's very simple. All a team has to do in reality is keep the defense on the field, tire them out, and then they're going to have their way with them. You can't cover a guy for 8 minutes, on a play. So eventually, I think something has to give, and that's how we're going to see this game go. But advantage to the Rams. They're a way better team as far as controlling the clock. And I think that's something that needs to be said because it's not being talked about enough. And I think it's a legitimate thing. When you have a team that's able to control the clock, it makes, the time of possession is really important. The Rams are 6th in the league in average time of possession per game. The Buccaneers are 17th. So I'm looking at this game as, the Buccaneers are going to go for those deep plays, and as long as the Rams keep them in check, the Rams have shown they have the ability to control the clock, and if they stick to a balanced approach, they can win this game, and that's exactly where I have them going. But do you have any stat predictions on the offense? I know you mentioned 2 sacks, but do you have any stat predictions on the offense, Alexis, for either of those teams?
I'm gonna go. Jared Goff is gonna throw for 2 touchdowns. I want to make a run game prediction, but like I said, I'm not that confident about the run game going against Tampa Bay. But because of my stat prediction, I think the way that it would probably break down would be like Jared Goff has 2 touchdowns and then there's a rushing touchdown somewhere in there. But I feel like the rushing touchdown is going to be kind of like a trickery, like a Robert Woods rushing touchdown, not necessarily like one of our running backs rushing it in. As far as Tampa Bay goes, God, I feel like I'm just going to be that person and say Antonio Brown's going to get a touchdown. No, and I'm only saying that because I think that he would get a touchdown no matter who Tampa Bay played this week, because I think that Tom wants to get him involved, and I think the whole team wants to get him involved on offense. So I think Antonio Brown's going to have a touchdown.
Yeah, which is unfortunate because I'm playing Max Holt in fantasy, and he has him, and I'm beating him by like 3 points. So that would be certain doom for me. Max, if you're listening, I love you, man. But no, I hear you. And, I'm going to have a quick segment here. I'm just going to throw out here. It's going to be Bogue's Blazing 5. Okay. So I'm going to have 5 takes here that you can go back and you can grill me on if I'm wrong. Okay, first one. The Buccaneers, 76.6 rushing yards a game they give up, right? It's the best in the league. Well, it's not going to be after Monday Night Football because the Rams are going to run over 120 yards on the ground. That's the first one. Second one, Josh Reynolds is going to have 2 touchdowns in this game. Josh Reynolds is going to have 2 touchdowns in this game, and the Rams are going to run for 120 yards. But I'm not done. The Rams are going to sack Tom Brady 4+ times in this game, including a forced fumble. Those are 3 right there. I have 2 more. The Rams are going to pick off Tom Brady twice in this game. And number 5, the Rams are going to hold the Buccaneers to under 180 total yards.
Wow.
You heard it here first.
And if all of that happens, you win $1 million. Right?
Well,
isn't that how it goes?
Well, I'm hoping. I mean, as well as I do. I mean, that'd be great for both of us. We'll just say that. But that's going to do it, right? I mean, do you have anything else? I think this has been pretty good preview of this game.
I think this has been a good preview. I can't wait. I'm excited. I'm delirious. I haven't slept in days. I've been living in a cave outside with 1 blanket and a router for Wi-Fi. So I've been able to keep up, and I'm ready. I'm ready to go back indoors and watch football again. Jake, I'm ready to do it. I'm excited. I think it's going to be a good game, and I'm nervous about it. Like you can probably tell in my voice, I'm a little like hyper anxious about it, just because, like you said, it's Monday Night Football. It's prime time, and it's not only prime time. It's against Tampa Bay, which is a very good team. It's against Tom Brady, who some people think is a very good quarterback, and we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, we will definitely see. Also, I just realized I said 180 total yards. That's not happening. I meant 280 total yards. That is more realistic. 180 yards. I was like, wait a minute. Did I actually just say that? That's not happening. So, yeah. X out the 180. Put it in your memory bank. I said 280. If any of you try to, clip me on the 3-second soundbite and roast me, I said 280. So that is going to do it for Jake Ellenbogen. She's Alexis Kraft. This has been the Downtown Rams podcast, and it has been episode 328. We hope you guys enjoyed. As always, if you like what you hear, be sure to subscribe and leave a review wherever you get your podcasts. You can follow Alexis at the Alexis Kraft. You can follow me at JKBoganDTSN. And I have a YouTube channel I want you guys to check out. If you like sports, find it's literally just Jake Ellenbogen, my name in all caps. So that's that. But hope you guys enjoyed. Go Rams, and we'll be back for a preview or a recap after the game. Take care, guys.